A while back, in another video on my Suzuki V-Strom, I mentioned that I was going to do a front brake job and bleed the brake fluid, essentially change it out using a Mighty Vac vacuum pump. And the reasoning for that at the time was that I felt it was too hard of a reach to get to the bleeder screw on the left-hand caliper and reach over and reach the brake lever. I've since taken a look at it and I can make that reach, and so I'm going to rescind what I said, and I'm just going to do this brake job, and we'll go ahead and do a video on it here. But no need to use the vacuum pump because you can reach. And so the good news is that's one tool that you may not need if this is the only job you're going to do. I still think it's pretty good to have a vacuum pump in your toolbox. I find I use it for quite a few different things. Check out my video on synchronizing the vacuum gauges for synchronizing the throttle bodies on this bike. That one I used that Mighty Vac vacuum pump. So let's dive in and get these brake pads changed. They're finally worn to the point where I feel like I'm getting a good value out of the existing pads, but I don't want to keep going. Getting pretty close to the metal, not to the squealers yet, as they say, but we got some new pads waiting to go in there, and we'll throw them in and then bleed the fluid and change that out. So I got two 14mm mount bolts on that caliper. Get those off. Pretty tight. Boy, that was difficult. And I'm going to take out the, I think I can, how did I do this last time? I guess I can't just rock that out. I got to get this one pad out of there, then I can put my clamp on and press everything. Actually, I could just press right against both of them. Well, no, there's springs in there. I don't want to do that. So I'll remove this pad first. Still have some pretty good pad material there. Well, I'm going to leave it. So I've made the decision that I still have enough pad there based upon looking at a set of new pads. I mean, I'm only 50% worn on these things. It looks like a lot more when the caliper's on the bike, but it's difficult to see in there. So I'm going to keep going. We're just going to change the fluid here today because that pad looks fine. I'll double check the other side, but if they're similar, and I believe they ought to be, I still have got thousands of miles left on these brakes, so I'm going to leave those pads in and get maximum value out of them. Yeah, same on this side. I've still got quite a ways to go. So we can just bleed out the fluid today. When you're putting these calipers back in, I don't know why, but it seems like you just got to get one bolt started. Then you can pivot to find the other more easily. There. And they're in. So this ought to be a pretty quick video today. We'll just bleed them. I do need to get the torque spec on that though. Torque on these was 28 pound-feet. pretty close. So you get a section of hose, put it on, well, first put your 8mm wrench on, then put the hose down on top of the bleeder screw. This hose is a little inflexible, so it makes me a little nervous in that it tends to want to curl back up and tip the bottle over or end up spraying corrosive brake fluid all over my other parts. But whatever you got to do to get it centered there. And so we can just simply loosen the bleeder screw just a bit, and I'm going to apply, see, that's what I'm worried about, is that bottle tipping over. Not the best piece of hose. Maybe that'll stay put. There. Apply some pressure to the brake lever and squeeze that fluid out, and then tighten your bleeder screw. Then pump up your lever again. Apply pressure, loosen the screw, and just keep alternating. But after a while, you need to go up here in the reservoir. And I've already drained down a good third of what I poured in there, so don't let that run empty up in the reservoir. Just keep alternating until you start seeing that fluid run more clean. You'll notice a color difference after a while. Then the same thing on the other side. Check my fluid. I'm still okay. And I'm going to go ahead and drain, because I got two calipers here and a little bit larger system than I had on the rear brakes. I'm going to go ahead and run a full 2 full reservoirs through this system, which I did on the right hand side already, and now I'll do that on the left, and then I'll top off that reservoir and call it a day with these. And then I'll move on to the clutch system, and we'll do that as a separate video. But I can start to see already that this is starting to flow with a clearer color. It was darker at first. Now I'll keep going till I have this reservoir empty. And so now I'll top off the reservoir, but the one thing I want to do is turn the handlebars till that thing's level, because if I'm down the other way, I got that hose still hooked up there, so I'm going to tip that brake fluid over. Then I start to get an angle on it, and I want to fill it level. So turn your handlebars a little bit. Be very careful pouring this, because if you get it on any of these painted surfaces, it's a good chance you're going to lose the paint. And I fill it up, not entirely full, but leaving a little room for that rubber gasket diaphragm that goes on top. And then I'll button that up. So we've got the rubber diaphragm. There's also a plastic piece in between there, and then the cover. I'm holding it this way so I don't lose the screws. And then we'll turn it around so the words are facing me. Pretty simple job, honestly. Piece of hosing, an 8mm box end or open end wrench, Phillips screwdriver, and some fresh brake fluid are all that's needed. Thanks for joining me.